Welcome, everybody, to Pen and Dragon. Your hosts, Timothy Robert, Mike Cahoon, and Isaac, who didn't put his last name up. So we're just going to call him Isaac.
I'm Isaac. That's all you got to know.
Tonight, we have a bunch of stuff for you all. We have our cover rating. We have another indie author that we're going to show his cover real quick because it comes out on the 30th. We're going to get into our third and final section of literature versus adaptations. And I'm going to hand it over to Mike Cahoon, who's about to do something real fun, special just for the podcast. So take it away.
Hell yeah, man. So I am releasing a brand new novella. It's a prequel to my debut novel, The Scion Conspiracy, and it's called The Coldwater Job. It takes place just before the beginning of the series, and it's kind of a story about some of the main characters. And I am going to reveal the cover for the first time to the world tonight, right now, on Pen and Dragon. So here we go. Hey.
Ta-da! The Coldwater Job by Mike Cahoon.
There it is.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I think it's such a vibe. It's so... It's not grimdark, is it, Mike?
Yeah, I would say my books are
It is?
pretty much grimdark. Yeah.
Okay, it gives a
Not
grimdark
as-
vibe, so...
Yeah, not as dark as like, the Black Company or something like that, but I would say more in the like moderately grimdark kind of vibe.
I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely gives the grimdark vibe. I actually love how there's like a glow in the title with like it looks like the title is almost a glow. It's pretty cool. And, yeah, I dig it. I actually originally Mike showed us the two possibilities, and the star was different, but I like this one a lot more.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think it turned out really well. I'm really happy with what my cover artist did with my kind of prompt that I sent her, and I'm really digging the way that these kind of sigil heraldry focused covers have gone so far. That's the plan for all of the series. Is each one is going to have a different heraldry from a different like group or house
I
from the
dig that.
series.
I love
Mike
that.
has spoken. It's a 7.5 out of 10 cover.
Hey,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'll take the damn on the Mike Melman scale. That's basically a 10 out of 10.
I give it a solid 8.4 personally. I do like this cover though. This was almost Mike's cover. I don't know if everybody can see it.
Juicy Books cover.
Beautiful.
Oh
I
man,
saw
dude,
that
she's
and I
putting out
laughed
some.
so hard.
Show that up. Bring that up.
Oh,
I made you giant.
Bringing it back. Hold on.
Putting
For
you on
anyone
the
that-
spot.
For anyone that doesn't know, Juicy Books is putting out some great spoof covers.
It's hilarious.
That's great. Josh got so tickled at the Garden Maze cover she did.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
they're
them all.
hilarious.
The Tales of Battle too that Juicy put up too. I laughed so hard. I thought it was. I almost want to make like a Tales of Battle spoof just to do it because it'd be hilarious.
That's fun. So,
I
Mike,
honestly think-
what are you accomplishing with this novella? Are you trying to strengthen certain characters or the setting? Or you trying different styles? What was your goal?
So the Sonic Conspiracy is like a multi POV kind of classic, epic fantasy sort of thing. And one of the main characters is this thief who gets hired and to do this job, which sort of sets off the whole plot of the Sonic Conspiracy. And throughout
Yeah.
that book, you kind of get a little bit of you get a little bit of background on him and his crew and like where they come from and how they got involved in all this. But this book really gives you a lot more insight into them and how they work together and how they got into all of this. It's more of just sort of a backstory, but it also kind of goes into a different part of the world and explains a little bit more behind the magic system for people who want to get a little bit more, I guess you would say, behind the scenes sort of
Yeah.
thing.
And
Yeah.
how many point of views do you have?
In my main series or in this book?
I guess both. Might as well tell us
So,
both.
so this book features chapters from every member of the crew of thieves. And but whereas in the main series, only the leader of the crew is one of the main POVs.
Okay.
And then in the main series, the first book has 5 POV characters, which is going to be expanded upon in the upcoming books. There's going to be more POV characters in the upcoming ones.
So like kind of like a Song of Ice and Fire type of.
Yeah, exactly. The kind of like floating POV goes to different characters. Each chapter is a different character.
See, I dig that.
Very
Actually,
cool.
I just saw someone complain about it, and I was like, but that's one of my favorites. Like the Wheel of Time, A Song of Ice and Fire, like that's one of my favorite things is getting these different point of views, these different aspects. I mean, I did it in my Flame of Alamandras a little bit, especially in the sequel, because I think
Yeah.
it's like these different perspectives. I don't know.
I like it a lot, man. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's one of the coolest things about epic fantasy is getting to see the same conflict from different perspectives, different people's views, especially like in my book, for instance, and in game, like we're talking about in A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, you get both sides of the same conflict. So you get to know, like, oh, this person, you're not like, oh, this person is the automatic good guy because he's the only perspective that we're seeing from, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, even with
So
Cersei, people hate on Cersei, and I'm like, but from Cersei's point of view, what she's doing is like right. I
right,
mean, if I
exactly.
was a mom and I was Cersei, like I don't really
Right.
look at her as necessarily a villain. I look at her as like a mom that's like, hey, I will kill whoever I have to for my kids, which like
Yeah.
maybe that's not the best motto, but I understand it.
Yeah, it's not justification, it's just it gives you a better, deeper level of understanding, I would say,
Right.
which
Yeah.
ultimately I think makes the whole story more engaging.
And how grimdarky is it? How grimdarky is your world?
I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like I said, something like The Black Company, I would say it's probably like a 6 or a 7, you know?
Wow.
So so kind of around the same as the Song of Ice and Fire, where it's not like grim dark to some people, but it still has that like
Yeah.
hopelessness and brutality type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that's a good way to talk about it, for sure.
Cool. Anything else you
But,
wanna let the people know before we get into our
so the official release date is on the 5th, but actually on the 1st, I'm gonna be sending all my newsletter subscribers a free copy of the book. So if you want a free copy of the novella, sign up for my newsletter and
Join the
you'll get
newsletter, people.
Mike's
yeah,
doing the G move. He's going hard.
yeah, man. It's the way to go. That's what everyone tells me. So
Yeah.
Cool.
Speaking of what everyone tells you, like and subscribe to the show.
yeah,
Before we get too
Right
far
now.
into it, hit that like button, hit that share button if you want to share. Hit
way
the
to go,
subscribe
Isaac.
button. That really helps us.
And the newsletter that Mike also does. Mike's the
Yeah,
newsletter king, so he also does that, and he does a
Yeah.
great job. So do like and subscribe to it all. And
yeah.
now, Isaac, if you want to start the Star Wars literature verse movie / show world, take it away, sir.
Before we start, you guys were talking about the Odyssey last time.
Oh
I have
yeah.
a quick opinion. First off, I hate the stupid modern speak. If we're doing something great and grandiose, make it sound great and grandiose, unless you're adapting it in the modern day. Which brings me to my theory. I don't think this happens in ancient times. I think his Odyssey movie is in the future. I think he's doing something weird. The casting is weird. The dialogue is weird. I mean,
The armor,
it's Nolan. I think something strange is happening.
but there's
I
no
think
gun.
it's either. It doesn't matter. This is
Well,
after a cataclysm.
that's fair.
Huh.
Did Pattinson have a cloak on? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I feel
I
like he
don't
had a
I
know.
just I think there's something to
Huh.
it. It's not going to be a straightforward adaptation. I think it's going to be something strange, and that might tick people off. Another theory. So, theory number 2 is he's Princess Briding us. There's some Michael Caine professor telling the Odyssey to somebody, and then the Odyssey happens.
Ah.
It's being
Huh.
told, and that's why it's being told strangely. So
So you're of that camp of people on the internet, and I researched this after the show, which was probably dumb. But yeah, you're of that camp of the internet. You think that Nolan is purposefully hiding a bunch of stuff in the trailers that he's like not
I
showing us
think
a big
so.
part of the movie,
I think so because um, it's Nolan. First off,
right?
I think there's a twist. I
It'd
don't
be
think
cool if
this
it was
is a
through the eyes of the
straightforward.
gods.
Maybe,
It would
yeah.
be cool if it was through like the eyes of the gods, or one of the gods is kind of like telling the story a little bit, but like from a perspective,
Yeah.
it would actually be kind of cool.
So anyway, so that's my theory. There's something strange about the movie. I think everyone senses that, and Nolan's being all nonchalant. So I don't. I think there's something. I think there's something.
You know,
But
you know, it'd
anyway,
be hilarious if he 4chan'd us all. If all these trailers and everything coming out were like fake, and then the movie's just totally different, it would be hilarious.
that would be in. I mean, there was there was a studio that was actually sued by somebody.
I
It
remember
was
that. I don't remember the
it was a
movie.
trailer. It made it look like a Fast and Furious movie. When people
Yeah.
got to the movie, it was like a very slow burn kind of romance or something. And
Was
so
it the
Was
somebody
it
Ryan
actually
Drive?
Gosling
sued.
one?
Yeah, Drive,
I
right?
Was it Drive? Was
Was
that the
it
one?
Drive? I don't
I mean, Drive
remember what it
was
was.
slow and
I
there
didn't.
wasn't much cars, and it was pretty awful to watch, honestly. I love Ryan Gosling. Slow.
Didn't like Drive.
No, all I
Yeah,
remember from the
I don't
movie
know.
is literally Ryan Gosling's face, which is hard to forget. But like
Yeah,
the movie, I don't remember at all.
yeah.
I don't know.
I think something weird. I think it's something weird. But talking about Star Wars, so we're talking about adaptions. So we talked about, what was our first topic in adaptions? We
Lord of
talked
the
about
Rings.
first. We talked about Lord, okay, Hunt for Gollum. We have people adapting source material that I think you made a little video. I don't know if you've published it yet. You know,
No.
a video talking about it, where you were saying that why are we doing chapters from Lord of the Rings? Why are we nitpicking things? Why don't we go to all the source material? The answer to that question, I think, is they don't have the rights to it. I think I saw Peter Jackson talking recently that he's trying to get the rights to the Silmarillion,
Yep.
however you say that word. He's trying to get the rights
We
to
all
that
hope he
to
does.
adapt. Yeah,
Right.
that would be cool. I would love Peter Jackson just to spend the next 10 years of his life after the next 10 movie. I want the 10 first. I'd love him to spend his twilight years just making these big grand Lord of the Rings movies very slowly,
Right.
very slowly making them. But what happens when you refuse to adapt things? You refuse the adaptations. This is what Disney did with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Disney buys Star Wars. Star Wars has this massive catalog of fun, cool things you could adapt. You had, from my circle immediately, you had The Force Unleashed. You
Mm-hmm.
had Republic Commando. You had all these games like Knights of the Old Republic. They're just begging to be made into films or series. But Disney's like, we're going to do our own thing. And the thing they did wasn't as, I don't mind them doing their own thing if the thing they do is impressive. It just
Right.
wasn't impressive. So why is it when you have good material, why is that ignored? Why do people do that?
I do have a question because you guys know more about the Star Wars literature than I do. Is
Okay.
Boba Fett a personable character in literature? Because as far as I know, he's just like a rough, brutal bounty hunter. But obviously, the Boba Fett show, which everybody had a problem with, at least the actual fans. Granted, Star Wars fans have a problem with everything. They had a huge problem with him having like a more human side, like a more redeemable side, it seemed.
I'm sure there were comics that explored Boba. But from what I understand, Boba was always a cold, calculating. He was always in a villain role, and he was never really an anti-hero. He was always like, he's here to cause trouble.
I was gonna say I haven't read all of the Star Wars books or anything like that, but the ones that I've read, I don't remember Boba Fett ever being like a POV character that's like sympathetic or anything like that.
Yeah.
He's always kind of, like you said,
Yeah,
the ruthless bounty hunter.
They treated him like he's treated in the movie. He's there to stand there and look cool.
Yeah.
Shoot
And
stuff.
for everyone to go, oh, I wonder what his story is, and go,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's Boba Fett's job.
That's what I was expecting in the show. I was like, Boba Fett's gonna come and be like, and just mess everything up, be hardcore. And I was like, wow, they're really giving him an emotional side, which I think is a problem of modern adaptations. Actually, not even knowing much about the Star Wars literature, only a little bit, is that now everything needs this like redeemable POV, and like I don't want that. I mean, actually, I do think Obi-Wan did a great job. Granted, Darth Vader has not been explored enough, in my opinion. I mean, he's in the movies, but like he's not. You don't see all of the stuff he's doing. So in Obi-Wan, when he comes out and he's force choking people and like destroying them, I was like, Disney did one thing I like. They made Darth Vader cool. They made him come out and be like, I will kill all of you. I don't give a shit. And like, it was the most badass scene. One of the most badass scenes I've ever
seen. The hallway scene with Vader and what was it?
Rogue
Andor?
One, yeah.
Rogue One. Yeah. That was incredible. That was the best they've ever done. Disney's ever done Vader, and probably I would argue just as good as a lot of the scenes with Vader in the original trilogy. That scene was
Did you
amazing.
guys did you guys see the new Darth Maul show?
I've heard great things.
I
I'm just
haven't
not really
seen it
into
yet.
animation
So
much.
I don't know. So I've never liked any of the Star Wars animated stuff. It just wasn't my thing. I started the Darth Maul show out of curiosity because it looked like their animation quality has gotten better and better and better. So I really liked it.
Really?
Really, really liked it.
I've heard that
The
from
very
everybody.
last episode has Vader.
Mm.
When he was
Spoilers.
revealed, spoilers. Sorry, when he
Just kidding.
I'm gonna talk about it. When he was revealed, that was the coolest thing because he felt. One of the things I noticed they did really well in the Maul show. Halfway into the show, uh, so you have Darth Maul is on this planet and he's trying to like take out the criminal underworld because he hates them. They betrayed him or something. So and then you have the local cops trying to deal with these people fighting and blowing things up, and they have their protocol droid saying, "Oh, according to regulation, we should call the Empire." And like, no, don't call the Empire. So they don't want to call the Empire because when the Empire comes, they're not going to leave. So when the Empire finally does show up, it's actually frightening. It's painted in a very frightening, menacing way, which I don't usually see with the Empire. They're usually the bumbling, they can't shoot anything.
Right.
They're actually competent and frightening in this show. And at the
I think
very
that's one
end,
thing the
when
cartoon did good too before that. What's the cartoon, Mike?
Clone Wars,
Yeah, Clone Wars. I feel
Yeah.
like I've only seen bits and pieces, but they actually made the stormtroopers not be a bunch of idiots.
yeah,
Well, the classic problem with the stormtroopers has always been that like they're supposed to be the greatest shock troops in the galaxy or whatever the hell, and
yeah,
then people are just mowing them down by the dozens. The main
yeah.
characters can just take them out instantly.
Well,
So
my
That's why.
issue. Oh, go ahead, Isaac. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was
I
gonna
was
say
gonna
my
say,
issue with Star Wars from literature, from what I know of it, is that they do a lot of. It's almost like lip service. They take these characters that have a lot of background, they throw them into the movie or the show for a few minutes, like Captain Plasma, General Grievous, whatever. They don't do anything,
right,
even though in the literature, they're supposed to be like crazy badass, super strong.
yeah.
They toss them in
right,
the movie to be like, hey, look at this person, it's cool. And then 10 minutes they're dead. And it's like, cool, this character that I literally pretty much watched this for, or like was super excited for, you just destroyed or made look
Well,
terrible.
all that lore was written afterward. So all the cool things are designed. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the behind the scenes for the making of Star Wars. It's like, especially the prequel stuff is phenomenal. I have my art books behind me that outline all the creation of it's so much fun. But all these things were just literally like George's like, okay, everyone, so we need to make a cool guy. He's an underwater guy. Kind of funny. Draw some guys. And then they had these amazing, like all the Jar Jar art in the episode 1 book I have is some of the best looking stuff ever. It's unfortunate that his original idea for Jar Jar was another silent character like Chewbacca, but he was
Really?
wanting more of a Charlie Chaplin air to him, where he's comic relief, but he's like stunt comic relief. So you kind of get that a little bit at the end of the first movie when he's on that tank. He's like juggling the balls and he's throwing things around. That was kind of what they were going for, but he came off a little bit more silly than
right.
it was originally pitched. But what was I talking about? Okay, yeah. So after they make all these cool things, George's like, "Oh, this guy needs a name. We should call it Jar Jar. I like Jar Jar's pretty good. Write that down, Jar Jar." And they have
Your
okay.
what do you call it? Impersonation is cracking me up.
Yeah, that's really
This is
good.
how George.
Yeah, he's very he's very soft spoken. He says a lot. Pretty good.
I feel like a big problem with Star Wars too is they never get in depth. They like toss a lot of this stuff out there, but they don't really get in
Mhm.
depth with it. Like
Well,
even the Mandalorian,
that's the power of Star Wars. Once you explain where Darth Vader comes from, he loses some of his air a little bit. So
that's fair.
uh,
Well, I
I
mean
think
more
that
in depth of like storyline almost. Like
yes.
the Mandalorian
Okay,
have all this stuff and they could explore it, but they don't.
Right.
last week I was fed up. I was thinking about Star Wars like, why don't they try anything? Why don't they try something? Like
Right.
make something fun. So yeah, man, I practice in the shower and I argue with George Lucas. Um,
This is what Isaac does when he's not on the show. He sits there and he does his own Star Wars
oh yeah,
ideas.
it's pretty good idea. Yeah, so
So-
I was like, because I've had an idea for a Star Wars story like for 20 years. I think when the first animated Clone Wars came out, it was 2D. I loved it. It was great. It was
great.
cool. And then it turned 3D, and I lost interest because now it would look like Jimmy Neutron. I didn't care anymore. It was early 3D for TV. But I was always thinking like, because back then I was really into animation. Like I wanted to do animation. So I had my pitch for Star Wars. So it is, the Jedi go out and they find gifted children and they take them to the Jedi Order, right? That's
Right.
kind of what they do in the that's what they allude to in the prequels. So I had an idea of two kids, a brother and a sister. The brother's 14 or 15. The sister is like maybe 5 or 6 years old. The sister is force sensitive. They're living on the street. They're orphans, and they're doing cons, doing tricks, trying to make a living. The brother he's good at fixing things. The sister is really smart and sneaky. The Jedi find out there's a force sensitive kid on this planet. So let's go get her. So they go down there and they grab her. We can give you a better life, all this stuff. You have to come with us. It's galactic law, or whatever. You have to come with us because you're force sensitive. You're dangerous. The brother's like, you can't take my sister. This is my sister. I take care of her. And so the Jedi, like, I guess you can come if you promise to be the mechanic at the academy.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, she'll do it. So the story is this brother and sister looking out for each other, older brother, younger sister. They're in this Jedi Academy on this grassy planet, and they have adventure of the week kind of things as they're like in like a Harry Potter kind of school show
Oh yeah.
where
That's a
it's,
cool
it's
idea.
the young Jedis. So I've had this cooking in the back of my head. I got characters, I got plot lines. So Star Wars needs a war. I thought of a war. So the first 3 were about it was a small rebellion against a big guy. The prequels were about it was a civil war and also kind of a political coup.
Right.
The sequels were just the originals again. I
Oh.
imagine the first pitch was big rebellion. The good guys are in charge, and you have these little insurgents doing terrorism. I bet that was the first pitch. And then they're like, do we want to learn terrorism in today's day and age? So I think they chickened out. But I have 2 ideas. Idea number 1, you have Hatfields and McCoys in space. You have 2
Mhm.
powerful families with a blood feud. And Jedi are sent to both sides to try to broker peace. And
Right.
neither side won peace. And they're both crooked. They're both right in some ways, both crooked in some ways. Fun, cool conflict you can have a lot of stuff for.
So kind of like
Second
Dune.
idea. Dune is they're fighting for power.
That's
right?
true.
They want to be king or emperor. These guys, they just hate each other's guts. They want to see that family wiped from the stars because they hate them. They deserve it. And they both
a
say
good
that
setup.
with each other. Idea number 2, Space Berlin Wall. You have a whole side of the galaxy has a big old wall set up or something, some kind of field that keeps people from going. And you have families are separated, friends are separated, and they're trying to sneak past the wall or go past the wall. And they have a Cold War thing. So those are the 2 kinds of wars I would pitch in my Star Wars idea.
My
So
issue, I think, with Star Wars is that I don't know why they're even doing the new movies the way they are. And this is from someone who thinks Rey is super hot because I think she is incredibly hot. But that's the only part of
Rey
the movie
is
I want.
fun. She's not
Yeah,
a good
but
character,
no,
but
she's
I
terrible.
like her actor. I like what she did with the character. It's just she just needed things to do.
yeah.
Well, she's just a bad character in general. They made her like this pissy, twitty, like I don't know. And then
She's
they
always
throw Luke
right.
in there, and then they throw Luke in
she
there just to make it like better. Like, okay,
yeah
here's
Right.
Luke. Make the movie
yeah.
good, basically. And they just
the stormtrooper guy, the reluctant stormtrooper, is an amazing character.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
was totally wasted.
That was the best setup that they had going into the sequels by
It
Well,
far.
should
and
have just been him.
I thought they were
Yeah.
gonna make what's his name, Rilo or whatever. I thought they were gonna
Kylo.
make him into a gray Jedi at the end of the last movie, and I was like, "Oh, nice! They finally like did this, cool." And then they all of a sudden like, "Nah, never mind." And to
Yeah.
me, it's like the writing.
I liked Kylo Ren. I liked him. I liked the actor. I liked what he
Yeah.
did.
Right.
I didn't like their stories. Their scripts
No.
were
So
I don't want to say lazy, but they just
you can say
like
lazy.
the middle
Yeah.
movie. The middle movie took big swings
Too big.
and too big. I do applaud them for trying something, but they didn't understand Star Wars.
Here's
the first
my
and last were just they did not. They were vapid. They're empty.
here's my problem with this, and kind of like everything you guys have been saying, kind of feeds into this whole thing that I wanted to talk about with the whole adaptation thing. Star Wars is a property with all of this things that you can adapt, right? You
Yeah.
have a ton of opportunities. You have amazing characters, like we were talking about before, and you have all these books that people love that had before Disney bought it and all this stuff, and they said all of that is not canon. People loved the books,
Oh,
and they were
yeah.
like, "Oh, I
If they
hope
had
these
just
get
done
adapted."
if they had done the Thrawn trilogy while
Right.
the
Oh, yeah.
original cast were still with us, that would have
Right.
been wonderful.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Thrawn trilogy was like a big one that people were pulling for. And here's what I'm trying to say is that if you're not going to adapt in a way that's more like honoring kind of like what's already been established, then why wouldn't you just do more original stories? Because Star
Right.
Wars
Yeah.
as a property, like for instance, like we've seen Andor and Rogue One and a couple that are really good, but they kind of are more original, more interesting ideas. Whereas like when they go and they're trying to make continuations of the main storyline, but they're not using what's already there. They're not
Yeah.
using like some of the lore and some of the things like that because there were stories about what happened after the original trilogy, right?
Well,
Like
they
that,
did do the Acolyte, which is pretty awful.
right?
I didn't
So
bother.
They
I
did
didn't
try to
watch
do
it.
like a creative leeway and do something themselves, and it was even worse than the way that they adapt. So like, I don't know, and even their adaptation of Boba, like we said, is not that good. The Mandalorian,
Yeah.
I think, is great. Would I like to see the Mandalore Wars? Hell yeah. Would I love to
Yeah,
see a Darth Maul come back? Because Darth Maul supposedly comes back and is like 2 times stronger and like total badass, like rival Vader kind of stuff. Like, why not do that instead of these 3 movies with these 2 really pissy characters and just bad storylines? I think that's what sets it apart, really. Star Wars has great battles. Do the new movies have great battles? Sure, there's great, lightsaber action, but like it doesn't even
Yeah,
measure up
yeah,
to
yeah.
Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon Jinn. Like, it
right,
doesn't even
No,
measure
because
up to
that fight meant something more than just looking
right.
cool. It meant something.
right. And how long can you have these long movies with these 2 main characters pissing at each other? Like, it gets boring after a while. The
Yeah.
stakes don't feel real. They don't feel high. And in the literature, the stakes in Star Wars are huge. They're always huge. They're massive. So like having these movies, downscaling the stakes, having flat. I would say the characters are pretty flat. Kylo
Right.
almost wasn't flat, and then they flattened him. Rey is
Yeah.
terribly flat. I don't see.
Yeah, she doesn't change or grow.
No.
She just says, "I'm Ray." Everyone goes, "Oh, it's Ray," and
Yeah.
she just solves the problem.
Yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
again, they had a concept for a really good storyline with Finn, the stormtrooper,
He was the
who
most
turns against
promising
him.
thing in
But
any movie.
they totally backgrounded him, after the first movie to the point where he almost had nothing to do. They had to find things for him to do that had very little to do with the main story most of the time.
Yeah, they
You know,
squandered that opportunity 100%.
and again, I think this comes down to the fact that they're not deciding which road they want to go down. You can either make original stories or you can kind of adapt and pay homage to
Yeah.
what people have created, the stories and the lineage, all that stuff. But you can't kind of split the difference and do both at the same time. I
That's
think
kind of my
that's
issue with Boba Fett, because Mandalorian is like this high honor character, and then you have Boba Fett, who's a douche bounty hunter, and all of a
right.
sudden they're like friends. I mean, I get having to work together maybe, but the way they did it, that wasn't even well written. Like, it didn't
Right.
feel
Yeah.
authentic.
Boba would have tried to betray him in some way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Mandalorian wouldn't have been like, okay, let's shoot next to each other, and I totally trust you. Like, doesn't really. And I'm not saying I'm some great writer. I'm not working at Hollywood, but like, they're making millions of dollars. Star Wars is a huge, huge, huge fan base,
Yeah.
and they're squandering it. Squandering it terribly too. Rogue One was awesome, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm in a minority. I don't know, but I think Rogue One was phenomenal. I actually loved
It
it.
was it was fun.
No,
It was
Rogue
really
One was
fun.
great.
And
I think
then
everybody loved Rogue One.
see, I've had a lot of people tell me it wasn't that good, and I'm like, I liked it. Mandalorian is. I
I
don't know
mean,
about the movie.
it's
The show's been great. Andor
Rogue
is
One is
great.
really good because it's a Star Wars movie.
That's fair.
If it was if it was its own unique thing, we wouldn't really care that much.
I don't
That's
know. I kind of disagree with that because I mean I think Rogue One has a really interesting storyline, and it's a very like when you look at it just objectively without the Star Wars stuff, just the whole concept is interesting and very like, well, it's a well conceived story on it stands on its own, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
That's true.
Well, you need Darth Vader at the end. You know who that is.
Well, sure.
You need whenever that guy shows up, and if it was devoid of any other property, we would have to invent a monster. Oh, there's the monster.
But I mean,
so that would be kind of cool, I guess. But I mean, this works really well because we go, oh, Darth Vader, he's cool. I know who that is, and that works. Use that to your advantage if you can. But I mean, I would have liked a little bit more of a emotional problem with the characters in Rogue One.
See, I'm glad there wasn't. I like that there wasn't actually. I like that it was like, I don't know, it felt fast paced. The stakes felt high. I didn't need like all this personalization with them. Where I did want it in, like the prequels, I did want it with someone like Mace Windu, with this huge, he's got this huge lore. He's this actually a really interesting, phenomenal character. One of the most interesting characters to me in the Star Wars world. And you don't get to see any of that. And it was a great actor. It was a great casting, in my opinion. And you didn't get to see any of the two sides of him. I mean, he's not like hey, I'm a Jedi Knight. He's like, I am a Jedi, but like, I will also kill you.
Right. Yeah. Again, that comes back to the fact that there's a lot of fertile ground in Star Wars that you can make interesting original properties with, like movies.
The issue is Star Wars has too many people guarding it.
That's true.
Too many people worried about the money. We have a lot of there's probably a lot of people in Lucasfilm right now that are similar to us that have really fun ideas, and they go, "Oh no, we can't have Baby Yoda kill anyone." Obi-Wan needs to
that
be
would be
reluctant.
awesome.
We need to make Obi-Wan reluctant. He can't be.
Yeah,
he can't be
but-
brave.
but-
He has to be reluctant.
But even back then with General Grievous, like, they basically tell you, oh, he's awesome. He killed Jedi. And then it's like, boom, boom, boom. Oh, General Grievous sucks. And it's like, well, you just force fed us that General Grievous.
He was designed for that part, and they did everything else afterward. Have you heard the original pitch for the Kenobi trilogy that became the Kenobi show?
I don't think so.
The writer who actually he wrote 3 scripts. He talks about it. You can find him his talk. His pitch was amazing. He had an amazing, amazing, amazing pitch. Disney took it and they watered it way, way down. They made a little tiny show that looked cheap.
This kind of reminds me of. Oh, go ahead.
Cool ideas are struggling in that environment for some reason.
Well, because they give a pass at things like the Acolyte. Like, I want to be in the room where they're like, all these great ideas in this huge, vast universe with all this lore. Let's do the Acolyte. Like, I want to know who was in that room and was like, you know what? There's all these cool things that Star Wars fans want us to do. Let's do this instead. Like, who makes that choice?
And then I think there's also, I think I talked about in a previous show how I think there's this fear of the audience guessing what happens. And
but sometimes that's good. Sometimes
it is.
There is a time to keep your audience.
You had J.J. Abrams in charge in a very big position for a while, and he's Mr. Surprise the audience.
The mystery box.
Mystery box.
Yeah.
So I think that infected the thinking there a little bit.
See,
Right?
I
It was
think
why they did not adapt any previous books. They did not adapt anything people already knew. We had to
yeah,
surprise everybody. And Star Wars has its surprises. You had, I am your father. That was a
right.
big shock to everyone. And that we haven't had another moment like that, to my knowledge, unless you count Kylo Ren stabbing Han Solo in the chest and killing
That was
Star
actually
Wars.
that was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or you were gonna say something, Mike?
I was just gonna say, this all kind of comes back to the same thing, and it kind of leads into the other part that we were going to talk about tonight with Wheel of Time, which is that you have these properties that are, you know, very interesting and have a lot of possibilities. But I think people are a lot of producers and stuff are too concerned with creating something that they personally like want to create, or they want to like adapt in a way that's surprising and interesting, when really all you have to do is adapt what's there, and that would make people happy, you
Well, like you
know.
said, that's a huge issue with the Wheel of Time. That was the issue actually with the Wheel of Time was they had everything they needed, and they were like, "You know what? We're gonna flip it. We're gonna put this storyline here. We're gonna put this one here.
Because
We're
they
gonna
Right,
had to
change this. We're
surprise
gonna
you.
gender swap."
right.
Yeah, it was almost like they wanted to surprise you with everything so much that it was like, "What story is this now?" And I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
okay, where do you guys stand on literature versus movie show gender swaps with important characters? Obviously, with side characters, maybe not that big of a deal, but with like essential characters, you know, would it be a huge deal if all of a sudden Luke Skywalker was Lucille Skywalker? Like, does that change the story? Is that aggravating?
It
Because
does. It does change the story quite a bit.
yeah,
I mean, we can. I mean, I don't want to get political. We can pretend that men and women have no differences. We can pretend that. But the fact is, men and women are different. Different in body type, different in thinking, different in we're wired differently. So if you have a female character who behaves like a male character, that's a character in itself, yes. But if you, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like when they change things. They don't need to, unless it serves some purpose. Like, does it make sense that this character should be a female? Okay,
So
why are you making that change? If you can argue that and give a good reason, I'm okay with it. But if you're doing it just because, okay, back to the Odyssey, you cannot be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars if your cast is not diverse enough. If you have an
right.
all-white cast in your Greek epic, you're not eligible for an Oscar win. So some people think that's why the casting choices were made in the Odyssey. So I don't know. If you're making these decisions just for political reasons or for clout, I'd have no respect for you. If you're making changes because of the story, then let's talk. I want to have that conversation.
So, and that's kind of that's very similar to what I was going to say, which is that, as much as I think, stories can be manipulated and whatever, and I think adaptations are interesting when they make, you take like, for instance, like an older story and you put it in the modern day, that can make for some really cool, really interesting scenarios, right? You've seen a million adaptations of like Robin Hood, for instance, and the King Arthur stuff into different timelines and technology levels and all sorts of stuff. You've seen it Robin Hood done as a superhero, which is Green Arrow. You've seen Robin Hood done in the future. You've seen Robin Hood done in the present day. There's all these different things. And you've seen Robin Hood as a girl. Like there's a bunch, like again, there's a bunch of different things that you can do. But the question is, and it comes back to is why, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you doing it for the sake of doing it? Or are you doing it because it serves some purpose in the story that you're trying to tell?
and a
Right.
huge issue in the Wheel of Time is that they don't do that. The casting
Right.
Yeah.
choices are clearly no purpose other than maybe an agenda. I don't know. But the casting choices are so far off of the description for half of the characters that everybody instantly, all the Wheel of Time fans I knew, tuned in, super excited, and within a half hour were like, "What is this? Who are these
Right.
people?" I read
Yeah.
13 books about these characters. I have an expectation of these characters. And to me, if you are going from source material, you owe it to the audience to maintain the expectation. There are certain things, yes, you can do surprises, yes, you can take creative liberties, but you should be doing fan service first, in my opinion. Not adhering to the fans, but giving the fans what they expect from that source material.
So
You
do you
expect Achilles to be a badass.
would you approach adapting something? Because I have two minds of this. So first, I agree with you. The audience wants what it wants, and if you subvert expectations without exceeding them at the same time, you have a problem. On the other hand, I forgot my second point. It'll come back to me in a second.
Well, that's what
So
the
I
Wheel of
was
Time
saying,
director did, in my opinion, too. They
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
their point.
I have
I
it.
mean,
It'll come back to me. It'll come back
I
to
mean,
me.
when you have a storyline, and the storyline is 13 books long, and
The
then you
Men in
adapt
Tights
it,
comment threw me off. I started thinking of Men in Tights.
and then you
Oh
adapt
yeah,
it.
That's
Robin Hood.
Oh, okay, go
So,
ahead.
in the case of a public domain character, doing something different, just because it's been done so many times before, I
right.
could see that. So,
Right.
I thought so. Okay, here's my actual second point. When you're adapting a story, I'm of two minds of two things you should do. You need to do right by the audience, do what they expect, and then you got to do right by the story itself as it exists. Are those two things the same thing, or do they have differences?
They're about the same to me. I think as far as the you're talking about casting versus storyline?
I'm talking about if you are given the keys to Amazon and I say, okay, you are now in charge of Wheel of Time. Good
With
luck.
an expensive ass
Uh,
show for the record, a high budget show. I would first of all, I would cast directly to what Robert Jordan wrote. And I would I would cast directly. I would find people that fit those roles perfectly that made sense. Because otherwise it doesn't make sense. His world is very descript. What these people look like in this country versus what these people look like in this country versus this land. It's very descript. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have the Windfinders, which are tan and tattooed, and you cast them as all white people with no tattoos, that's weird. It doesn't make sense. So I would honor that, and I would honor the storyline. Can you make differences in a storyline? Of course, you should in an adaptation to an extent. Should you divert the storyline, twist it, take book 1 and book 5 and flop them and make this happen here and this happen here? No, because first of all, it became, as Wheel of Time showed us, it becomes a mess. Some of it
Right.
is nonsensical. If you read the books, it's even more nonsensical. And a lot of the storylines didn't even make sense at that point. Some stuff happened so fast that you lost huge character dynamics on how that got there. You lost character growth, you lost parts of the world, and you just lost development across the board. It wasn't even just like losing the source. It was you just blank space basically.
So to answer your question, Isaac, about kind of playing to the audience or playing the source, honoring the source material, I think the best example of this and the best person who did it the best is honestly Peter Jackson and Lord of the Rings, because he cut out a ton from the books. He had to do a lot to adapt those books into movies, right? But he very much made almost everybody happy because he stuck to the heart of the story, first of all, from the books. And he also stuck to the messaging and the identity of the story, the core of it. He got that across. He
He did
wasn't
hated the dead people, right? The dead army or whatever. He said he didn't want to do that, but then he kept it because of the fans, right?
right, yeah. So again, it's one of those things where it's like you could tell from watching those movies that he loves and understands Lord of the Rings, right? He knows what makes those properties special. And when you look at a bunch of different properties, you can see this interplay between, you have some people like another one, The Witcher, right? With Henry Cavill. You've
Yeah.
got Henry Cavill, who's a huge fan of The Witcher, and he loves the source material. And then you've got studios wanting them to do something different because they think it will be better. And they don't really care about the source material. They just want to make a product that they think will sell. And I think that's what we're talking about here. And that's what really hurt the Wheel of Time and hurts a lot of adaptations is you've got people, and this is kind of what I said the other week when I wasn't here. You got people who fundamentally don't understand the source material, trying to adapt it and turn it into something that they think will be, profitable or popular, but they don't understand what made it popular or profitable in the first place,
Right. It's
right?
almost like
They
they
were just
know. It's
hired
almost
to
like they
work on the
think they know
job.
better. Yeah, and it's almost like they think they know better than the source material. It's almost like,
Right.
oh, this is source material, but I can do something better with it. And most time, doesn't work. I
Right.
mean, there's a reason that people won't even pick up the Wheel of Time now, and it's because it got so much hate. Why would you put this huge budget on something that it didn't go well? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
there's got to be a
And that's
point where you keep the source material at heart, and like Mike said, I think a lot of it's feeling. I think the people that wrote the books loved it. They loved it. It's their heart, it's their soul. We know this as indies, we know this as authors. You write it, you love it. Um, and when you're adapting it, if that person doesn't love it or those people in charge, you see it, you feel it, it comes across. If it's all about the dollar and all about what they can do better, it loses its identity and it loses its purpose and it loses everything along with it.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's
Amen.
definitely, I think we're all kind of that same mindset. And I think that's the saddest part about that is that adaptations are kind of like, lightning strikes. You get them, you're very rare, happen once in a while. And when it doesn't go well, it's kind of like you've lost your one shot to get, for that,
Yeah.
for at least a long time, you know? Like,
Well, like
when's the
you
next time
mentioned,
we're,
Peter Jackson, you mentioned, like we said, he had the Army of the Dead. He said he didn't like it. It wasn't realistic or whatever he said. I forget. I saw it the other day. Now I forget. And then he was like, "But
yeah,
I'm gonna keep it because it's in there and the fans like it."
right,
That to me means you're a good creator. If you can understand that, hey, this is not what I would choose, but it works, so I'm gonna keep it. That to me means that you know what you're working with, which is
yeah,
an issue in Hollywood, especially now with adaptations, is they don't seem to know what they're working with or don't care.
right.
Imagine being those ghost actors. Peter Jackson comes out. He's like, "Yeah, I don't really like. I don't like this part. Not a fan. Not a fan of this
Hurry
part.
up.
We're gonna do it anyway because the fans like it. But I don't really like this part. I guess do whatever. Looks scary."
Some great
Alright,
direction right there.
should we get into our cover rating of the week?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
time to
sure.
rate a
Alright,
cover.
Mike, it's your
I'm gonna
choice. So you start us off here.
So this is The Source of Strife by Alex Arch, one of our fellow indie authors, and it is a epic fantasy with Western kind of like vibes. Uh,
Yeah.
and one of the main reasons I wanted to bring this cover up specifically was because he's actually considering making some changes to the cover because he doesn't feel like it gives off. He's gotten some feedback says it doesn't give off enough of an epic fantasy vibe. And so I wanted
Mm.
to talk to you guys about this. That's the Juicy Books version. Hell yeah.
Juicy.
I wanted to talk to you guys about this and get your thoughts. As a
Do you know?
cover,
Do you know the changes he wants to make? Do you happen to know? Or?
he's actually so he put out an audiobook cover that is a way different. And
Mm.
it's kind of like minimalistic. It's a lot less, coverish than this. There's a lot less going on. Um, it's just kind of like some swords and guns and a shield, and then the title. Um, but he was asking people on social media to kind of weigh in on. He said this is an epic fantasy. They're supposed to be Western vibes, but like I'm getting feedback that this isn't epic fantasy enough. It doesn't convey that. And then that's why I wanted to bring it up on the show because I was like, I think it's a great cover, but I do kind of get where people are coming from. If you see this cover, if you're scrolling through Amazon, you see this, you definitely get Western vibes. But I don't
Yeah.
I don't know about epic fantasy,
I get a little bit
you
of
know?
both, but I do get a little bit confused. I mean, I haven't read it. I did tell Alex I like this cover actually.
I like the
I don't
cover.
know. Does it have to do with zombies? Are those zombies at the
Yeah,
bottom?
I'm guessing. I see
yeah,
zombies. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Um, so that to me is confusing in epic fantasy alone, just because zombies usually I have a one-track mind with zombies, which is not usually epic fantasy.
right.
Um, but I do like the cover. I think the cover is engaging. I actually have never paid attention to these intricacies of like these rope bridges and stuff connecting the people, which is actually pretty cool. You can tell the
Yeah,
gun is like not necessarily a modern gun. You can tell there's stake. If I was going to change this cover, I don't like the other cover that much. I forget what it was, but I saw it. If I was going to change this cover, I would actually keep it for the most part. Maybe put the zombie horde all the way in the back and have like these two main characters walking with like a gun up on each side or something like that. And that to
Mm.
me would like make the scope a little more epic, right? Because you have a bigger background.
Yeah.
You have the characters
Right.
minimalized, kind of like Jeff Brown does, and that to me provides epic.
I think if I was gonna make this cover more epic, my note would be we need a landscape first of all. We need a big, like gorgeous mesas. We need that Wile E. Coyote spaceman
Oh
spiff
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
vista.
Hmm.
We need a Georgia Western. We need a guy on a horse, or a guy in a cowboy hat, or a guy in just in cowboy garb, and needs to be looking out upon the vistas. And to hint the zombiness, maybe have like some dried up zombie bits like scattered, like he just had a fight or something,
Or a zombie up on the mesa would even be cool.
or something crawling up maybe they're crawling up
Yeah.
the mesa and he's like loading his gun.
Yeah.
I told.
And just very, very calming loading his gun. It's like thousands are coming up the mesa.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
That'd be cool.
I told
Um,
Alex, I was like, if you're gonna do this, if you want to make this more epic, just without having to change the cover much, you just do a different font, do some epic fantasy font, and throw a sword in there. That's
See, I actually like the font because the font to me gives like a futuristic vibe. So I understand that maybe it's like some kind of futuristic fantasy. Um, I just think, like I said, like Isaac said, I think you need something grander in the back. I think you need to
okay,
minimize your
so
main
here,
characters.
here, if you want to do something like this, that's kind of movie poster esque. I don't know how to
Mm.
say the last part of that. If you want something that looks like it's movie poster inspired, you got your main characters, you got something going on, you got the title. You should look at old spaghetti western posters. Good,
Yeah.
the bad,
Spaghetti
and the
western?
ugly. Yes, westerns made in
Fistful of
the
dollars.
60s in
Oh,
Italy.
okay. Literally, I was imagining
old Clint
cowboy
Eastwood
duels fighting.
movies.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, okay,
I know
that's
what you're
fair.
talking about, Isaac.
I just
Yeah.
think you need to
You
combine
gotta-
something like medievally, like Jeff Brown does, and make it into your world. I think you need this epic vibe, or even like Wheel of Time. I mean, they always have people on horses half the time. But I think you can take this cover for what it is, and almost just alter things, add a backdrop that's maybe a mesa or whatever that's super cool, and have it make more sense. Because this cover almost feels like it doesn't know what it is. I think Alex is right in that way. It almost feels like, am I Western? Am I sci-fi? Am I zombie apocalypse thriller? You don't
I think
Right.
it's all those
exactly
things.
know. Right.
So, and
But
that's
you
the
don't know.
challenge with multi-genre or mixing genre books, right? If you have a horror fantasy or a sci-fi fantasy, whatever hybrid, whatever you're talking about, it's really hard to market that effectively because you don't, what do you put on the cover? How do you convey what this book is? And you
I
can
would
only
say
put
this is a paranormal western.
right.
Yeah.
That's how I would market it.
Well, we're in a group. We're all three of us in a group where people are having issues with that. People are crossing genres, which is happening a lot, and that's cool. But they're having issues with the covers, and they're constantly in the groups and being like, "Hey, does this cover work?" And a lot of people are like, "It's a cool cover, but like I don't understand it, or it doesn't really make sense for your genre." And that's
Right.
something really, really important and really, really hard. Like I actually like Alex's cover. I give it a 6.5, just
Yeah.
because I don't know what's going on. Is the only reason I give it a 6.5. I don't mind.
Poor Alex. He mentions he might change his cover, and we go, "Well, let's tear apart his. It's fair game now. Let's just tear it apart and say what we would do."
Well, I
I
don't
asked
think
him
it's
for
terrible.
permission to put this on the show.
Alex is also
my
super
God.
he
cool.
was
Alex is super
yeah,
nice.
Alex
He's
is super
cool.
good dude.
I don't even hate the cover. It's just the problem that I don't understand what's happening, and the things that are happening, I have a hard time looking at the cover. I'm like, oh, that's cool. It does have a movie poster vibe.
I
but
get what's happening. I get what's happening. We got Hoodie Boy, and we got Cowboy Girl, and they're kind of teamed up, but they're not quite teamed up. They don't quite trust each other. It's a union of circumstance.
I
Then
do
you
think the
have
pacing is great.
then you have the sun in the backdrop setting, so it's danger is happening, and you got a horde of zombies breaking through between them and coming toward the audience. So this tells me this two characters forced to work together against something they don't understand that they may not win against.
I guess it
So I
makes me
guess
question a lot because I'm like the rope bridges. I'm like, well, is this futuristic? does it take place in like the West? Because there's no rope bridges in the West that I've ever seen.
So I think the biggest thing about this cover that I wanted to ask you guys was, are since the debate is it epic fantasy enough? What makes a cover like epic fantasy, right? Like, what are the signposts that people use to identify epic fantasy versus some other?
Two things. The author's name is very big. Um, the cover is painted. It's a painted
Yeah,
cover,
yeah.
and the title font, it looks like it was made in the 80s.
That's
See,
what I
that's
said. I said the font
You
and a
got
sword on
that's
the
not what
cover.
you do those three things, you got epic fantasy. Even like
I
if you look at the Dark Tower books, those covers are epic. Those are
Yeah,
some
they
good
are.
freaking covers.
with epic
And
fantasy, I
they're
think that you just have to see the scale, and you have to see the not peril, but I guess the danger of the scale of danger as well as the
yeah,
scale of the world. I feel like you have to mix
promise of
those.
danger.
Well,
Yeah,
here's
you
the
have to.
question for you, Tim. You're a huge Game of Thrones fan, right? Or a Song of Ice and Fire fan. And those books, they just have kind of a lot of those have the simple, super simple covers, right? So is that kind of does that kind of, say anything about what you're talking about? Because I would agree with you most of the time, but then there's kind of those other books in that in the genre that don't follow that.
Okay,
Well,
so
the new covers
his
are a lot
books.
better.
They're a lot
The
I
new
better.
covers are a
I
lot better,
love
but
the old ones.
I do think that George R. R. Martin's covers tend to be lackluster. I do think that they don't offer necessarily the scale of the world, but I do think they're solid in a lot of ways. I think they're solid
Okay,
covers. I just
I
don't think they're
am
great.
I am amending my description of epic fantasy book cover. So I need to take into account this is in real life. We're seeing this in real life, not just on Amazon. So on Amazon, my rules still apply. That's what you need to be epic fantasy, I think. In real life, the book needs to be fat, and
Yeah.
it needs to the plastic needs to crinkle when you pick it up. It needs to make that sound.
Okay, Alex, we're giving you a whole lot of feedback. You got to make a crinkly book. It's got to get fatter, so you got to feed it. Gotta feed those zombies.
No, it's fine.
No, I think Jeff Brown really gives. I think Jeff Brown, whoever did the Wheel of Time covers, I don't know, they're probably dead, but whoever it was, I think those artists and those kind of covers give epic fantasy. You see there's a journey, you see there's warriors, you see there's a huge backdrop, you see there's danger, something is up, the scale is big, what the world is by looking. You have a vibe, you have a sense. That to me is important. George R. R. Martin got lucky based on his covers, but his covers also are trad, and trad has a reputation in the last 10 years of being terribly boring covers.
Yeah, really
Overall.
lazy.
Yeah, here's a
Yeah.
shield, here's a sword, here's a rose, here's a crown, here's blah blah whatever. Here's two objects.
Well, the trad publishers are racing against the indie guys now because there's so much stuff being released. It's like we need
Yeah.
more people. We need more released. Like, do we hire more
Yeah.
artists? No, we
Well,
don't hire more artists. We tell them
why do
work
you think they did
faster.
Why do you think they did the new covers of A Song of Ice and Fire? They're like, hey, these covers aren't really that cool. Let's do something way
Yeah.
cool. And these new covers are cool.
Oh
they
no
keep
no
the
no no!
vibe.
The people who made that decision, they didn't care if it looked cool or not. They just said, okay, we did a market research and we found out that if we change the way they look, the people will buy it again. Let's
True. I do now have 2 sets of A Song of Ice and Fire on my shelf because I
There
really
you
wanted
go.
them.
There you go.
Well,
What? It made you happy?
the Poppy War, same thing. The Poppy Wars just barely got popular, 2 years ago or whatever, like really popular, and it's already got like 5 different sets out. It's and
Well,
one of them
that's
should
the
be
thing.
included.
That's the way that everybody makes money now, is just releasing new editions of their book. So everyone has to go out and buy new editions of their book, you know?
I think in the next few years we will see special edition fatigue. I think we will see edition fatigue in general to an extent.
I don't. We've been printing books for 500 years. I don't. If that would have, I think that would have happened by now.
No,
Well, I
but
know I know what
rate
Tim's talking
the
about,
rate they're
though.
coming out is
Oh,
astronomical
okay.
compared to that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
With the
looking at old
Kickstarters and
Bible.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You're looking at like the
dude.
Holy Bible, and you're like, okay, there's special editions of the Holy Bible. Some of them are cool, whatever. But I'm talking about a book that came out 2 years
This
ago
one
that
has a
already has like
dove.
5 special editions.
Dude,
You,
the Kickstarter market is wild for indie books now. I mean, people are coming out every week with a new Kickstarter. Like, I'm launching a special edition of my book. I have book one of a 5 book series out, but I'm already putting out a special edition.
I
You
mean,
know,
I
like
am doing a special edition of my book, but I'm only doing it because I had a few people reach out to me and be like, "Hey, I would love like if you did this." And it's not even like
right.
I'm going out and I'm doing this huge special edition. I'm doing a few things to add to it, and some of it's for my own self. I'm not out there doing a Kickstarter. I have a few people that want it, and I'm like, okay, cool. I want to sell it in person, but like you do see all these Kickstarters for books, and my issue with this is that I think the fatigue is coming with people are buying pretty books and they're not reading them. And like, yeah, it looks cool on your shelf, but like, I want people to read my books. Like, if you're just gonna buy my special
Yeah.
edition and never read it, then cool, I got some money, but like, I got into this because I like to write, not because I like to make a pretty book.
So this actually goes to a point that I make all the time on, whenever I'm having discussions with people about this. I think book collecting and reading are two completely different hobbies. And I think, especially on social media, those two hobbies kind of get conflated all the time, but they are two very different things. And the especially, we're all on Instagram and stuff like that. On social media, the book collecting as a hobby or whatever is really like becoming the thing. It's the thing that everybody is like really into and wants to show off their special editions and do flat lays and all
Yeah.
this stuff. You know what I mean?
Well,
You see Book Talk
Mike,
and it's like all these cases of just like pretty
when
books. And it's like, but have you read any of these books? Or are you just like, I look at them sometimes.
when Mike Mullman makes it big, Amazon will force him to make special editions with
Oh
new
yeah.
covers.
Mike, you can
Yeah,
do a special edition of my character death. That'd be cool.
that would be sick.
And that does we won't get into this because obviously we're running over time a little bit, but I
Yeah,
did
yeah,
just
yeah.
see, like, an article about Book Talk, and now I'm finding out that people are only reading dialogue of books, skipping
Yeah,
expositions.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
They skip it. They just read the dialogue.
Yeah, and that's crazy. So you're buying the
Which
special edition or whatever.
that means there's a special new group of readers we could write directly for dialogue only books.
I mean, I'm dialogue heavy, and I still
Isn't that
find it
Step it up.
isn't that like a screenplay kind of?
Yeah, we sell
pretty much.
screenplays, but they're formatted like books. They
Well,
don't have a. There's not an alien format. It's like some. Oh, well, it's just dialogue. He said,
screenplays have
she said.
action too. You have
It went
action tags
outside.
with what you want people to do, but it's not like
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
okay, so we'll get into that another
That's
time.
actually that's not a bad idea. Actually, just to write a quickly, stripped down little. Of course, it has to be probably some trashy romance because the people reading these books they're not reading epic fantasy.
So just sorry, real quick. I just want to say I actually did read an indie book one time that was written kind of like a screenplay. It was like just name of character, dialogue, and then like a little bit of description of what's going on, name of character, dialogue. And it was
That is
written, huh?
that is a screenplay.
Was
Yeah.
that fun? Did you like that,
It
or
was
was it like
interesting. It was interesting. The author, I actually know the author personally, and he said he wrote it because he had a really hard time like reading as a kid, and so like he wanted to like
oh
write something
okay?
that was more geared towards people who were, like struggling to read and things like that. And it was interesting. It was a cool experience for sure.
Huh.
I'm
But
just imagining someone reading The Wheel of Time because we've talked about it in this episode, and only the dialogue and missing out on 10 billion words of exposition and having no idea what these characters are like. Like you're missing out on the world, you're missing out on the danger, you're missing out on the battles. Like who wants to read
I
a
would
fantasy book and not read a
I
battle?
would love to talk to somebody who did that and just ask them questions. What do you think about the book? Oh, because they probably have an insane take of what
Oh
right.
happened.
yeah. Their
That'd be
favorite
very
character
fun.
versus characters they hate would be wild, probably. Because they didn't read
That
Nynaeve or however you say her name, tugging her hair 1,000 times. You just read her dialogue. So her dialogue is
Yeah.
great, but her tugging the braid is annoying as hell. So
Well, we have another cover here. We have this. I don't think we're critiquing this cover. We're just showing this
we're not.
cover.
But well, we
yeah.
can critique it real quick. But you guys didn't rate the other cover. You got to rate the other cover real quick.
Oh,
Oh
okay, right.
shit,
Okay.
yeah.
I rate this current cover right here. I call this out of 10. I would give it I think I'd give it a 5. Only because of the text. Only because of the title text. I don't like it off to the side like that. If it was more centered, more bold and big, like maybe disappearing behind the character head there a little bit, like some interactivity with the rest of the art, I think I would bump it up to like a 7. I think.
I was gonna say I'd give this as a book, like just as a cover. I would give it like maybe a 6 or 7. As an epic fantasy cover, I'd probably give it like a 5. It doesn't convey epic fantasy enough, which I do agree with the people that are telling Alex that he kind of needs to do something with the cover to make it more epic fantasy ish, if that's the market he wants to play to.
As a cover,
I
I'd give it
do.
a 6, but I do agree with you on a lot of that. So knowing what it's shooting for, if I opened and started reading it, I'd be like, "What the hell? This cover doesn't totally match." So I'd probably drop it to a 5 for that reason, knowing what's behind
Yeah.
the cover. No, and
Right.
now that I've dove into the cover, at first sight, I'm like, "Oh, this cover is like a 6.5." Diving in, I'm like, "Yeah, maybe a 5 or a 5.5." I'm actually not with the rest of you, including SL. I actually like the title where it is, but like, what do I
Okay.
know? I'm just a nobody.
I think that would if this was more of a techno thriller, the text doing
That's
weird
fair.
things, I think fits for that.
Or maybe steampunk or whatever, I guess. It does have kind of a
Maybe. I mean, this is promising cowboys and old west stuff. So the title you should be, you should have that big cowboy font. Look at old cowboy books. The way they
Right.
do all their fonts are just very big and very fun and very wagon wheel esque. There's that thing again I can't do. Yeah.
That's
So
what it could be. That's what the cover could be. These two could be on horses with a wagon running over zombies going toward the
or
mesa.
a bunch of zombies in the back of the wagon, and they're like
yeah.
bored, like another load of zombies.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
or you have like a few zombies climbing up on it.
Another load of zombies.
You have a few under the wheel. You have the girl or the
Or
guy
like-
turning around shooting.
That's
and like
actually
could
a
have-
great idea.
You could have the wagon is like the horses are rearing, you have a horde all around them. The guys pointing down, shooting. You got fire and smoke coming out of the gun. And someone else is loading, and another zombie's coming up behind them. Like you could have a really cool, fun scene there. That would be
Alex,
fun.
if you're watching this, I hope you have a huge budget for your cover.
He's sitting there
yeah.
with a notepad being like, "Oh my god."
Call my brother. my brother could just paint that.
All right. Thank you, SL. Okay,
Okay.
let's get into Brian
To the next
Holzhauser's book 2 of Gwyn's Kingdom, Flame in the Emerald Shadows.
Volume
Just so everybody
1.
watching knows and everybody listening, Brian does all of his own covers. He's a crazy perfectionist. He's one of my good friends in the indie community. He does insanely good work. He puts crazy hours into his covers. Crazy hours. First of all, I love the cover because I love the various greens. I'm a huge fan of greens on covers. I love the various greens. The book comes out on the 30th of this month. I love it paired with book 1, which you don't see because I didn't send it to Isaac ahead of time. But it's purple with a big purple moon. Together, I think they're going to look super cool. So Brian is a fellow indie. This is book 2. I do like. I'll rate it because we have it up. Why not? I rate it an 8, a solid 8.5, somewhere in that range. It is YA. He writes YA. It does give YA.
Okay.
Okay,
that
I was gonna
alters-
ask,
alters my thoughts a
actually.
lot.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
YA. Brian writes YA, so he writes for that crowd. So 8.5 is pretty much where it lands for me. I love the colors. I love the variation. I mean the flowing hair, the bow, the big green moon, the gold lettering. It
Yeah.
all really falls in for me.
I think his author title at the bottom, author name, it's not reading very well for me. That's my only critique. Is at the bottom. It's a little bit too thin in places. It's little. I don't know. I would have wanted some more contrast.
Right.
Because you're kind of fighting with the line of the frame at the bottom. But other than that, I like this. I give this a 7 out of 10.
As a YA fantasy cover, I would definitely give this a 8, 8 out of 10, I would say. It's really good. It's definitely interesting. Before you said YA, I was gonna go lower because it definitely gives YA vibes. So I was like, if when I first saw it, I thought it was like aimed at adult, like older adults readers, and I was like, that's kind of seems a little kiddish. But knowing it's for YA, it's great, awesome cover, perfect, hits the market, I think.
Oh yeah, I think the presentation. I also love how Shadows is like shadowing the moon. Yeah, so this comes out on the 30th. Gwyn's Kingdom book 1 is already out, and then there's a novella that I did read from Brian, which is Nakiri's Last Stand, which is actually really good. It's a huge world. Excuse me, huge world, kind of like space fantasy, I guess.
Star
So
Wars.
big universe, not world. Super cool. The covers are cool so if you're into YA, that's a thing. It comes out the 30th if anybody's interested. Let's bring Mike's cover up one more time for his cover reveal.
Bada bang, bada boom.
And it's coming out.
Hey.
When did you say, Mike?
So officially, it's coming out on the 5th of this month coming up, and but it'll be sent out to newsletter subscribers on the 1st.
For
So
free.
for
You get it
free,
for free.
not free 99.
Look, I mean, that's one click, you get a book. So go
Free
click it.
fitty.
For those of you that are only listening, Mike Cahoon, the Coldwater Job, go to his newsletter and click it. Also, go to Pen and Dragon, click that. Also, come to our YouTube and click that. Click subscribe and like on everything.
Yep.
Click all of the things, and in 7 years, I will write my Star Wars story. It'll be a 12-book epic, and it won't be called Star Wars. It'll be called Space Fighting in Space.
Space fighting in space.
I
Is
will.
that the whole
I
title?
will rebrand it. I will rebrand the Jedi. Will be called Fancies. They're the Fancies.
Actually,
only changed.
fanfics
Everything
are
else is the same. Planet names are the same. The technology is the same. Ships, weapons. It only changes. Jedi are now called Fancies, and the whole thing is called Space Fighting in Space.
And George Lucas is going to be the main character, but it'll be Lucas
Yeah,
George.
George is himself. He's
Copyright.
He's
Copyright for
he's,
Isaac
uh,
Anderson.
Isaka'd. He's Isaka'd into the Star Wars universe.
I mean,
He's-
fanfic's the whole thing. Fanfic's
daydreaming
the rage now. You'll get
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, he could.
There you go.
Week we will be here with Mike Molman. And did you ask Michael yet?
No, not yet.
Maybe we should.
I thought you were gonna
announce
ask
it.
him,
We haven't
so-
Oh,
asked
Mike
him
Cahoon
yet.
is. Mike, you asked me if you wanted to, if you should ask him. I said yes.
Oh, I missed your response. Sorry.
Gosh dang it! Too
This
busy
is
with
how we
newsletter.
plan our shows.
Yeah, that's true. We do have a Discord. It's just not. I mean, it's kind of messy, kind of not. So we will be here with Mike Cahoon and possibly Michael Vadney. Vadney or Vadney? I never know. I'm going to ask him.
Vadney.
Vadney sounds fancier. So
Yeah.
like, yep. Talking about
When I had him on all caps, I said, "Welcome, Michael Vadney." Like after the pre-show, I was like, "How do you pronounce your name?" He's like, "It's Vadney." Oh, okay. So the real I was like, Vadney.
Nobody ever asked me pre-show how to say my name. They're just like, they go Robert, and they go, "Did I get that right?" I'm like, "Well, you could have asked me prior, but yes."
Yeah.
So we will be
I
on
just
here with
wanna
some
guess.
judges, or maybe just one judge, the great bald Mike Molman from Bald and Balding. No, Mike Cahoon
No,
will be gone.
I
next
won't be
week, so
here.
we're replacing mics. One mic will be fighting fires. One mic will be on our panel.
Yep.
So we still have a mic. We have a rotating mic rule.
That's true.
That's-
Actually, we might have two mics. We might be
Oh,
trading one for
yeah.
two. So
Yeah, sounds like a good trade.
yeah.
This
So
is next Monday, correct?
correct.
Next Monday.
So tune in next Monday we're going to have some judges on from some competitions, get their insight to judging, talk a little more about judging like we planned. It'll probably go haywire because Mike Molman never keeps on track. And for the
That
third and
makes for
final
good
time,
radio.
it's true. Mike Molman would be a great sports caster.
He'd be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, they have the ball. They still have the ball. They lost the ball. What are we doing?" I just want everyone to die.
I give it a 4. I give it a
This is
3. Bad
4.
catch.
solid what do you call it? Impersonation.
So like and subscribe to everything, the newsletters,
Yep.
the YouTube, the TikTok. You can go on Spotify, you can go on iHeartRadio, you can go on Apple
We're
Radio,
on
you
all
can
the
go
all the platforms.
on all the radios, except for the normal one. We're not on the normal radio. You can't find us on
Yeah, that
FM.
costs
Not yet.
money.
That's true.
Oh,
Coming to you
welcome
soon.
to
AM radio.
WKRP.
Thank you for tuning in. We are your hosts, and we will be trading mics next week. So tune in then to Pen
Yep.
and Dragon.
Pen and Dragon. Welcome. I don't know if he's talking about me or Mike Molman. Yes, I'm aware. I've been on your
Yep.
show before.
It's funny because Mike doesn't even like
man.
Grimdark.
That's gonna be a
He
fun
doesn't
show.
even like Grimdark, but he's like, everything can die. It's fine.
Yep.
He wants it darker, only because he wants it to be done.
He's
He
gonna-
wants it to end. He doesn't want the tone to change. He just wants the book to be shorter. If they all
Mike Mulvan's
died,
gonna do his
it would
own
be over
genre.
much faster.
He's gonna do his own genre called Grim Darker with capital ER,
Yep.
and it's gonna be like 10 pages, but then everybody dies. So it's gonna be kind of like
Oh my god! Oh,
And then 100 pages
oh,
of just white
oh, I
nothing.
had an idea.
Yep.
Okay, we need to do a anthology, invite a bunch of people, and that's the rule. Everyone must die, and the story must be as short as possible.
that would be awesome. That would be so good. I bet we could get a Kickstarter for that. Easy.
We could do an anthology
Probably
where
could.
everybody kills Mike Mulman.
I
He will be in it, obviously. Mike always dies. He's like Kenny from South Park.
Mm.
But can't talk about it. I want to talk about it. We will talk about it next week. So
Oh yeah,
not-
special announcement next week.
We'll
Yeah,
have some
special announcement next
fun
week.
news. Fun news.
yeah, there'll be so much fun news next week. Actually, Mike Mulman can announce it himself next week.
Yeah.
Please draw
Should
an
we
arrow. On
announce the
your
things that are being announced to all our 3 viewers? I don't think we should. There's nothing happening next week. Nothing's
true.
going on.
But okay, thank you for tuning in to Pen and Dragon. Even though one of our 3
All right.
viewers is Mike Mulman himself. Have a good night, everybody.